it's Kaeyi for Hardware Heaven, and today I'm with Max. I can't pronounce your last name, so if you would happily do it for me, that would be
no
wonderful.
Problem. It's Max Matzenbacher.
That's awesome. I can't say that. And he's from Carbine, who is currently developing Wildstar. Now, Wildstar's an action sort of space-themed MMO. If you don't know about it, we'll be uploading a full kind of dev walkthrough that you did earlier. So I've seen that. I'm probably going to be asking some questions that you've probably already answered a million times this weekend.
That's totally fine.
But I'm sure there's people out there who don't know some of the answers. So firstly, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do at Carbine and what your main job role is?
So I work on the combat team. I'm a visual effects artist. So I work primarily with player class abilities, creature abilities. Was part of a group of people that helped develop the telegraph system, and then the player freeform targeting system, and other combat systems we'll be announcing more shortly.
So secrets we can't know yet, but that's basically what you do.
I wouldn't say secrets. I would just say things that we haven't had a chance yet to really get into. So.
Okay, awesome. So just a few questions to get to know you, because you know, developers, there's so many of them, we want to know each and every one. What's your favorite race and class combination out at the moment?
In any game or in our game?
In your game.
Okay. I would say that's a tough one. I personally really like the Granok. I think the Granok are they're a different sort. They're kind of tough biker, trucker.
They should be in a gang.
Yeah, the story that Corey, the guy who helped design them, would always tell me is the idea of this guy kind of sitting on his couch, smoking a cigar. And then, someone gives a phone call and it's another day at the work, and then, for his day at the work, he goes and picks out a giant sword and kind of throws it on his back and then goes out the door. I always love that. And then I think the Orin males, which we haven't shown a lot yet, I actually think are kind of cool in that you can definitely play them a little bit either kind of cutesy or kind of nasty, which I think is
so they can be quite scrappy or quite,
definitely.
I think they'll definitely be more to like the anime fan base. Like people will love them, especially like in Japan and things like that. I think
definitely. I think that with a lot of it, I think people are gonna they're gonna find it as they get into it, as it's been out for a little bit. It kind of reinvents itself all the time, and players who may have gone in with one kind of character that they'll inevitably tend to kind of fill into something else that is different, and they might not have expected from the beginning.
What aspect of the game are you most excited about, like as a gamer? So not from a dev point of view, like what do you want to play? What are you excited about?
That's a tricky one. I definitely think that for me, I'm really excited to see what happens with the combat stuff. It's something that we've been working on. The team that I'm a part of has been working on for a while. It's something that went through a ton of iteration and more than a couple battles within the company. And it's something that I'm really proud of, and I'm excited to see people play it, and I can't wait to participate more in it with players.
It's very different, and I think it's quite exciting. And how raids are going to work, it's going to be quite scary. I think.
Yeah, I think it's something that when people get like a quick look at the game, just a snapshot, they'll tend to kind of go like, oh, that looks the same, and they may kind of dismiss it. But then when they have a chance to really look at it and see it, and we explain it, and definitely when they play it, there is an immediate kind of, oh God, this is entirely different than I expected. And so the thing that I'm excited about is that there is a level of spontaneity and creativity when people play, that they will do things that I would never have predicted. It happens in our playtest where you're like, how the hell did you figure out how to do that? And it'll be this completely different vibe. And it's super spontaneous, and it's very creative, and I think it's something that's going to really stand out.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so as an artist, what are the biggest influence you've had in the gaming industry?
In the industry as a whole. Okay, so I have always been very influenced by just a wide range of games. I personally think that for me the Legend of Zelda series has been hugely influential. It's definitely influenced our game. Ocarina of Time for me is one of the greatest games ever.
I think a lot of people think
that,
yeah.
And it's an amazing game for a whole host of reasons. It's a great game to play. It's really fun, and then it has just hugely distinct characters.
It's
and
difficult.
even for something that had kind of been around or kind of reinvented. I've always loved the Metal Gear series.
Yep.
And so there's almost too many to call into quickly. I mean, I've definitely been a fan of Blizzard's games, and
naturally, I think if you are an MMO player, you was a fan at some point.
Exactly, and so to me, there's a ton of it. There's a ton of RTS games that I really love. Company of Heroes. It's been awesome to be at Resden to see Company of Heroes 2. So.
And following on from that, how challenging is it to stick to the art style when developing in Wildstar? Is it quite, open to creativity? Is it hard to stick to the aesthetic, or is it quite lenient, or?
How would I put this? When I joined Carbine, the art style had been pretty well established. It was something that they spent a lot of time developing, and it definitely didn't start off from the beginning. I've seen some of the original work, and it didn't look quite the way it does now. And I think that it was something that once they figured out what it was, and it had to do with a series of people working together, a particular artist, Corey Loftus, specifically, who kind of introduced this aesthetic, and I think it immediately resonated with people. So then when I came on and joined, I had never heard anything about the game. I knew that it was a game being developed by Carbine, but I didn't know anything about it. And so a friend of mine showed me a picture of a concept art on his iPhone, and I was like, that is insane. And so
it's quite different.
It's very different. And so then specifically on the team, it's something that they're really rigorous on. When they come in, they basically say, look, you're not going to figure out the art style right away. It's going to be something that you're going to have to learn. And it's true. Everyone kind of comes in, and you could make the assumption that, the look is to be kind of cartoony or light or stylized, and it's not that. It's that everything needs to look handmade. That it shouldn't be perfect. And so for me, I tend to have a little bit more of a kind of technical, kind of graphic aesthetic. And so and you'll see some of that influence in the art, but it is more trying to make something look like it was made by an artist, that it was hand painted. Everything is made to look very kind of crafted, and that goes across the board. The animations are insane.
They're
the animation
really
team is ridiculous, and so
I love that it's not going with the whole realistic vibe though, because sometimes that can be so overdone that it doesn't even look real anymore. So I love the fact that we don't look at it and think, that looks like a real person, because Orin and Granok are not real people, and they shouldn't look like that.
and the thing that's different about it is that there is a reality that comes into play. You see something that like a Granok that needs to feel heavy and but then fluid at the same time. So there is a reality that comes into it, and there is a whole technique in all of that, and that goes across the board, where things need to make a certain amount of logical sense to each other, but then it also has to be fun and engaging. And so I think that's something that the team's really proud of. It's been awesome.
Just a question from your personal opinion, what do you think that sets Wildstar apart from other MMOs in the genre?
So I've been getting this question a lot. People that want to know, what is the one thing that we've done? And MMOs are so big.
There's so much in them.
There's so many components to them. Even in the demo we just ran through, it's like there's too much. I was could barely keep up with everything that we need to try to show. So I don't think there's a one thing. There's a one kind of silver bullet for any of it. I think it's a matter of being able to look at all of it, and then kind of break everything down to kind of foundation level. So for example, with combat, it basically starts at movement. So if we nail movement, everything built on movement is going to be good. This goes across the board. So from encounters to social systems, you have to really do all of it. And I think Wildstar has tried to, at every part of the game, they've tried to take it and do something that at the foundation is solid and is fun, and then just build on that foundation.
Layer it,
and make something that is, by the end, people are really going to notice. Every one of those systems is going to be awesome. So.
Hopefully.
Yes.
Okay, so character customization is really something that players love. People want to make themselves feel special, and as you guys say, a special cupcake.
Definitely.
Is there going to be a lot of customization? Obviously, if there's things you can't talk about, that's fine, but we will be limited to certain things because you kind of want people to look like a feel. You want them to be true to the race, so...
It's a very good question. I definitely think that the way that we're kind of going with it is there are limits on it, because there are some games that allow you to do anything, and that's awesome.
There are some things in particular,
and you have to imagine people at our studio who have played these games that, given the reins to do whatever they want, they create what I can only describe as some of the most amazingly horrifying creatures you could possibly conjure. And so that's cool. We love that. We want to provide for customization, but we definitely want to keep it within the vein so that when you see an Orin, you're not like,
what the hell is that?
It's not even an Orin anymore. It's this other creature.
Yeah.
But we want to provide a lot of customization on there. So in terms of facial customization, you really can kind of create your own look that will be based on some established starting points that then you can kind of take and modify. In terms of the way your character dresses and things like that, we think that people are going to have a lot of fun basically coming up with their own look with our costume system and systems like this, dyeing systems that they'll be able to create their
I'm so glad you said that because I didn't know if there was dyes and I really want there to be dyes.
Yeah, we want it to be something where when you jump in, you have a character that is yours.
Yep.
Right, that you feel that ownership, and then that sense of ownership is going to spread to the rest of the game in terms of your play style when you're fighting, the abilities that you choose when you have your house and things like that it's something that you've made. And then after a while, it's no longer the thing that we made for you to use. It's something that you've kind of taken from our parts and have turned into your version of the game.
Awesome. In regards to raiding, will there be plans for 25-man and 10-man raids, or do you want to strictly keep it to 40-man?
It's a good question. I think the way that we're approaching it is that we want to have endgame PvE content that fits a wide range of players. So that means that we're going to try to support smaller single-player PvE endgame, smaller group content that you'll be able to find throughout the world and engage in that is challenging, but is fun, and then group content, dungeons, 5-mans, and then the thing that we're trying to start first with is the 40-mans. And the reason why we're starting with that is that there has been such a kind of response to when we talked about we really want to support a hardcore player.
Yep. Everyone loves it.
Yeah, we've been at the event today, and there's guilds that are already come in and going, we can't wait to try it. They are daring us to make the hardest core rating possible. And so rather than trying to hit all of it all at once, I think we're starting with 40-man. We'll probably support raiding that is going to be smaller sized.
And if you can balance a 40-man raid and you guys can get the combat to work fluid and the bosses to be hard, it's easier to go down.
And even I think what a 40-man raid is one of the things that we're toying with. I mean, if you look at the way that our approach to combat, it's that we try to kind of improve on movement. We try to then improve on and make something that was distinct in terms of the abilities with aiming and abilities selection and types of ability mechanics. We're gonna approach raiding the exact same way. So rather than there's a giant boss and everyone just kind of packs up on the boss and then you DPS it down, I think fundamentally what a raid is something that we are trying to
you can redefine it as a Wildstar raid.
Exactly, and it's something it's something we're working on very hard, and I think it's going to be very distinct, and because of things like movement and aiming, it kind of changes the way that kind of system would work. So I think it's going to be awesome.
Hopefully, again, I hope so much. I mean, I've wanted hardcore raids, and with Guild Wars 2, the game was perfect. I just wanted raiding in it, and I think the one thing people said was the Guild Wars 2 combat is too awkward to make raiding, but you guys have come along and thought, like, well, we have a lot of movement and we do this, but we're going to try and do raiding as well. So I just think that's really interesting that even with an action sort of movement and combat, you're still wanting to do the raiding, and it's going to be difficult, it's going to be hard, and I've seen interviews where they've said only the 0.1% will be able to complete every single raid, and I'm excited to hopefully get in there.
I think that, and it's a challenge for sure, and players are as I think of it, they can be villains.
Yeah.
They will figure out every way that they can to conquer the content that you spend a lot of time developing. Exactly. And the thing that they'll do a lot of times is that they will find solutions that are ingenious. They seem kind of insane in that they're not necessarily like, really, you're going to beat it that way? That doesn't seem very fun or enjoyable. I've been in raids that are like that.
But they just want to beat it anyway.
They just want to beat it, exactly, and they're going to do whatever they can, and it's a no holds barred situation. So we definitely want to have something that supports that difficulty. That's what I think people want. They want difficulty. When we have arguments in the office about 40-man content and what is difficult and what is going to be the best kind of setup for raids and things like that. The thing that people who are major advocates for it will say is they want something that is a challenge.
Yep.
They want something that when you beat it, you can say to people that, like, look, I beat it. This is the proof that I beat it.
You want the achievement. You want
How
to know.
hardcore was that? No one else will do that, right? And then what they want is something that that is reliably, fun. If they have something that is fun on top of difficult, then it's the best of all worlds. It's something that we're going to try our darndest to do. I think we're going to have something that's going to be memorable. I'm not going to say that it's going to be the hardest because I wouldn't be the expert. The players are going to be the expert on that, and so we'll have to see.
Yeah. So it's been said that you guys are using the term "when it's ready," which is pretty common, and it's a good thing. I thank you guys for using that because I'd rather you release it when it's ready than when we want it and you've got bugs to fix and patches and blah blah blah. So it's better to have that end product. But are you still looking at a 2013 release?
Well, it's something, again, the reason why we say when it's ready, and I agree, it's kind of a common saying. It's like the saying, play the way you want to play.
Yeah.
It's easy to say that. The reality is that you don't have a lot of flexibility when you release an MMO to make an impression.
Yeah.
There's going to be people who are going to blast through your content as fast as possible.
And you're like, oh my God, everything's been done already.
Yeah, and so they're going to get to the end, and all secrets are out at that point. Once people are in, and it's going to happen during open beta, they're going to start talking about your game favorably, hopefully. But if there's things that you did wrong, they're going to call you on it, and they're going to be completely unapologetic about it, and they should be. And so the reason why we say not till it's ready is it's part of what we're trying to say is that if we were to throw it out and it was, say, undercooked, everyone's going to know right away. And there's going to be people who are waiting to see what other people say about it. So if we throw it out and they were already suspicious, they're like, I don't know, I wasn't quite sold on your game. I'm going to wait and see what people say. If immediately someone gets in there and they say like, oh, they missed, then that person's going to they're never even going to try it.
Yeah, you've missed the boat. And
exactly. And so we have to deliver on something because we've gone for such a big game. We have to do all of it well. And that's what it means right now is that we want something that each of those systems is solid and that we get the basics right and that because the basics have been done well, then all the more complicated stuff on top of it is solid.
Well, thank you very much for having this interview with me.
Yeah, no problem.
We've learnt a lot, and hopefully we'll see a lot more from you in the future, more classes and races. And
Definitely.
Want it all. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Bye.